All right, Lakers fans, let's dive straight into the action because there is a lot to unpack from last night. The starting lineup we saw: Austin Reeves, Luka Doncic, Rui Hachimura, LeBron James, and DeAndre Ayton was a bit shocking, and honestly, it looked like the team was being run off the court. The defensive cohesion just wasn't there, and it left a lot of questions about how this unit is going to function over the season. Now, I love Rui Hachimura as much as anyone, but starting him in that spot raises a lot of concerns. It's not that he can't contribute. It's that the configuration seemed off. The way he operates, he thrives coming off the bench, finding rhythm alongside players he's familiar with. That's where he can be most effective, especially early in the season while LeBron is getting back into the flow. I keep telling myself maybe this was just about familiarity. LeBron's first game back. Try to ease him into rotations with players he already knows and plays well with. There's some logic there. He's got established chemistry with Luka, Reeves, and Rui to an extent. So perhaps this was more about giving LeBron a comfortable environment to settle back in, rather than setting the definitive starting five for the season. If that's the reasoning, I have no problem with it. Patience is key here because the Lakers are experimenting. They're trying to figure out what works now that the roster is healthy. Even guys who missed time, like Vanderbilt, are coming back, and there's a lot to sort through. That said, if Rui is going to become a permanent starter in this lineup, then we have to have an honest conversation about his role. Historically, Rui has struggled when benched. He has a tendency to check out mentally if he feels slighted. That was under the previous coaching staff, but it's still something to monitor. Now, Rui himself has said he's fine coming off the bench as long as he's getting minutes and the opportunity to close games. But that's tricky because, in practice, your starters are typically the ones closing. You can't rely on him for defense as a starter the same way you would someone like Marcus Smart. If he's off his game, he doesn't bring the defensive intensity or the rebounding ability needed to anchor the unit. And that's a major problem when your lineup already lacks athleticism. You can't put three of your least athletic players together and expect it to work, especially against the top teams in the league. Rui's value really shines in that sixth-man role. He could be a central offensive option off the bench, slotting in at the 3 or the 4, depending on who is on the floor. You can pair him with LeBron in small ball or big ball situations, giving flexibility while still getting his production. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. He can thrive in a rotational role and still see significant minutes. The concern is whether the Lakers are worried about him being unhappy if he isn't starting. If that's the case, then the team might be forced to explore trade options. As much as I love Rui, the Lakers have to prioritize what's best for the team. If he can't adapt to the role needed, then tough decisions have to be made. There's also the possibility that the coaching staff is managing his minutes strategically, keeping him in the starting unit early to maintain his trade value. That could explain some of the lineup choices. It's not always about who is the best player individually. It's about the best fit for the team structure. If keeping Rui in the starting five temporarily ensures his performance remains strong and the Lakers can leverage his value in the future, that's a calculated move. It's also about building chemistry with LeBron in those first games back. Early season is the perfect time to experiment, adjust rotations, and understand who rises to the top in different scenarios. We're also watching players like Marcus Smart, Jake LaRavia, and Vanderbilt to see who can step into starting or rotational roles effectively. Maybe LaRavia ends up being that key piece, offering shooting, spacing, and defensive versatility alongside the stars. The Lakers could spend a few games experimenting to figure out whether Smart, LaRavia, or Vanderbilt is the better fit before making any permanent changes. This stretch can be valuable for chemistry building, getting LeBron comfortable with his teammates, and establishing patterns that will carry into the playoffs. The risk is developing bad habits, but with careful management, the team can benefit from this flexibility. Another layer is understanding that the Lakers may be planning for potential trades. If Rui's role is partly about protecting his value for a possible trade to bring in a starting caliber 3, then that influences these early rotations. It's a balancing act. Get reps for your current lineup while keeping options open for improvement. That's why patience is crucial. You can't rush to judgment after 1 or 2 games. The team is healthy, the roster is deep, and experimentation is necessary. The early struggles, especially on defense, highlight the areas where adjustments are needed, but that doesn't mean everything is set in stone. The core issue is finding the right starting five, the rotation that maximizes strengths and minimizes weaknesses. Athleticism and defense are glaring concerns if Rui remains in the starting unit permanently. If the coaching staff believes the first few games are about LeBron's comfort and familiar chemistry, then that's understandable. It's all about setting a foundation for the season. But if the lineup decisions reflect a longer-term plan without addressing the defensive deficiencies, then changes will need to happen, whether through internal adjustments or trades. The Lakers can't afford to compromise the team structure for individual talent alone. Ultimately, it's about figuring out what works for the team, ensuring players are willing to adapt, and making decisions that enhance overall performance. Rui can be a valuable contributor, but his effectiveness depends on how he's utilized. The Lakers have to weigh immediate performance, player morale, and future flexibility all at once. Balancing these factors while keeping LeBron's integration smooth is key. This period of experimentation is critical for the Lakers to determine their best configurations before the playoffs hit. So, picking up where we left off, one of the biggest questions moving forward is how the Lakers will balance minutes and rotations without compromising either offensive firepower or defensive stability. The early games show us that chemistry isn't automatic just because LeBron is back or because we have everyone healthy. It's a matter of figuring out which combinations actually complement each other on both ends of the floor. You can't just throw together talent and assume it works. Spacing, defensive rotations, and player tendencies matter. That's where the early experimentation period becomes invaluable. It's a testing ground, a way for the coaching staff to see who can handle high-leverage moments, who can defend, who can rebound, and who can keep the offense flowing when LeBron rests. Rui Hachimura's role is central to this conversation because he's talented but not versatile in every scenario. When he's on, he can stretch the floor and provide a scoring punch, but the defensive shortcomings are undeniable. Against a team that can attack the perimeter, those gaps are magnified. You can't overlook that in a starting lineup that already struggles with athleticism. That's why people talk about him more as a sixth man than as a starter. It's not a knock on him. It's about maximizing team output. Off the bench, he becomes a weapon rather than a liability. You can have him come in against tired defenders, space the floor, and give the starters a breather without compromising defensive integrity. That kind of strategic deployment is critical over a full season and especially important when you think about playoff rotations. Speaking of playoffs, that's the ultimate measuring stick. Regular season experimentation is fine, but you want your core five, your rotation patterns, and your defensive schemes solidified before the postseason. That means the coaching staff has to balance two competing priorities, giving LeBron comfort and familiarity now versus establishing the long-term unit that will play deep into May and June. It's a delicate dance. On one hand, you want him to feel at home and build confidence with teammates he's used to running sets with. On the other, you need to iron out defensive assignments, rebounding responsibilities, and bench rotation so there are no surprises when the games really matter. Marcus Smart, Jake LaRavia, and Vanderbilt are all in the mix, and watching how they perform in this early stretch will give the Lakers a clearer picture. Maybe LaRavia thrives in a starting capacity with LeBron, offering spacing and smart defensive rotations. Maybe Smart brings the energy injection the team needs at the forward position. Vanderbilt's athleticism and rim protection are critical, and figuring out how to distribute minutes so everyone's strengths are maximized is the key challenge. The coaching staff has to weigh matchups, player readiness, and even personality dynamics. It's not just about stats, it's about fit. A player could be highly skilled but disrupt chemistry, and that's a bigger problem than having a slightly weaker scorer in the rotation. Then there's the trade consideration. If Rui's role is being protected to maintain value for a potential trade, that adds a layer of complexity. It's a balancing act between winning now and positioning the team for long-term success. Keeping him in the starting lineup preserves value, but could hurt immediate team performance if the defensive gaps are too glaring. On the flip side, integrating a new piece through trade would mean another adjustment period, so timing and strategy become essential. The Lakers have to think several steps ahead. They need to anticipate how rotations will look once any new players arrive and how that affects chemistry, LeBron's comfort, and overall team balance. What's fascinating here is how much this early experimentation reflects the intricacies of team management at this level. It's not just about talent. It's about how talent interacts, how minutes are distributed, how defensive and offensive responsibilities are shared, and how players buy into roles. The team's success hinges on alignment between coaching strategy, player willingness, and adaptability. That's why small decisions, like who starts or comes off the bench, can have ripple effects across the season. It's a chess game, and every piece has to fit. Misplacing one, even someone as talented as Rui, can expose weaknesses in unexpected ways. Another factor to consider is how opponents will adjust. Teams watch film, they study rotations, and they exploit weaknesses. If the Lakers start with a lineup that struggles defensively, it's going to be exposed, especially early when opponents are still gauging rotations. That's another reason the early games are as much about learning as winning. The staff needs to see what works, what fails, and how players respond under pressure. This helps in planning both short-term adjustments for upcoming games and long-term strategies for playoff matchups. Knowing how each player performs against different lineups allows for smarter, more targeted decisions later. It also comes down to leadership. LeBron's role isn't just about scoring or passing. It's about setting the tone, guiding rotations, and helping teammates adapt to roles. His influence on how Rui or LAKERS performs is enormous. If LeBron can help integrate players seamlessly, the Lakers can experiment more aggressively without risking disastrous outcomes. That's why early games are critical for building trust and communication on the floor. Players learn how to read each other, anticipate rotations, and understand spacing, which pays dividends later. The first few weeks are essentially a live laboratory for these lessons. The bottom line is that the Lakers are navigating a complex puzzle. The starting lineup, bench roles, minutes distribution, and potential trades all intersect. Rui Hachimura's utilization is emblematic of that complexity. He's talented, but his best contribution might not be in the starting five. Meanwhile, LeBron's integration, defensive needs, and the readiness of Smart, LAKERS, Vanderbilt, and others all shape decisions. Every rotation choice sends a message about team priorities, whether it's maximizing wins, protecting trade value, or developing chemistry. It's a multifaceted strategy that requires patience, observation, and flexibility from both players and coaching staff. In the bigger picture, the Lakers' identity this season is in the making. Are they a team built around spacing, shooting, and offensive efficiency, or do they prioritize athleticism, defense, and versatility? The answer likely lies somewhere in between, but early decisions will signal the trajectory. If LeBron is comfortable and the stars align offensively, the team might tolerate some early defensive lapses while working on chemistry. If trade opportunities arise or if certain players fail to adjust, the staff will have to act decisively. The first handful of games is essentially a laboratory, a chance to observe, measure, and fine-tune before the intensity of the postseason sets in. Before we continue, we ask that you leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Lakers updates. Moving on, whispers are rippling through the basketball world after a recent controversy that has left both fans and analysts buzzing. Sources close to the league suggest that the NBA is on the verge of issuing sanctions following a formal complaint lodged by the Los Angeles Lakers. While the exact nature of the grievance remains under wraps, insiders hint that the issue involves questionable on-court conduct that may have crossed the boundaries of fair play. The drama intensified when new footage surfaced, capturing moments that had previously gone unnoticed. These shocking images have reignited debates across social media, with fans dissecting every frame and pundits speculating on the potential fallout. The clips appear to show incidents that could be considered highly controversial, and league officials are reportedly reviewing the footage with utmost seriousness, according to those familiar with the situation. Rumors are swirling that the Lakers, known for their aggressive stance on competitive integrity, may have prompted the league to consider stricter disciplinary measures. This has fueled speculation about possible fines, suspensions, or other actions that could significantly impact team strategies and player lineups. Observers note that if the NBA does act, it could set a precedent for how future disputes are handled, sending a clear message that certain behaviors will not be tolerated. Meanwhile, the basketball community is abuzz with conjecture. Commentators are drawing comparisons to past controversies, while fan forums are erupting with theories about which players might be affected. Some insiders even suggest that the league is in a delicate balancing act, wanting to maintain its image of fairness and authority, while also navigating the complex politics between teams, players, and stakeholders. As the story unfolds, all eyes are on the NBA offices, waiting for an official statement that could confirm or deny the rumors. One thing is clear. The new footage has changed the conversation, and no one in the league is taking it lightly. Whether this will escalate into a major scandal or quietly resolve behind closed doors remains to be seen, but the buzz is undeniable, and the stakes have never felt higher. Fans and critics alike are holding their breath, anticipating the next twist in what might be one of the most talked-about controversies of the season. Stay informed exclusively about Los Angeles Lakers news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep receiving daily updates. Also, share your opinion on the news in the comments, as your contribution is crucial for the Lakers. Stay tuned for the next video,